G'day ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Aussie Starcraft, where we've been casting some of the best games that took place recently and casting them from the Dreamhack Winter tournament. So hope you guys are enjoying your Christmas season. I know that it's Christmas in some parts of the world today and was Christmas for me yesterday. I had a great holiday, hope you guys likewise enjoyed it. A little bit of Starcraft 2 to celebrate with during your Christmas season. We have a Game 3 and a Best of 3 series, this time between our Red Terran in the bottom right hand corner, which is CM Storm Polt. I think most of you would be familiar with Polt. He was back-to-back WCS North America champion this year. And the top of the left hand corner is our Blue Zerg. It is Quantic Hyun. Now Hyun, also very good Zerg player, had a great year this year, won Dreamhack Valencia and placed highly in many other tournaments. I think Hyun's walked out of 2013 with about $30,000 or $40,000 in prize money, so we should have an awesome match taking place between these two. It is going to be a Zerg versus Terran on Belshir Vestige, so this map a lot of interesting points in particular, and we'll run over those as we get underway. It looks like Hyun's going for an expansion first, quite common on this map, and scouting out with his overlords, trying to detect any proxies that might be laid down by Polt. And we've seen some proxies by various Terran players sneaking a few barracks in here right after the first Overlord scout. So there's been plenty of shenanigans on Belshir Vestige over the years, and I don't think this game will be any exception. So Hyun throwing down his spawning pool now. Looks like Tage is actually going for a gas opening, so going to use that Reaper to be doing some scouting. And looks like we have a fairly standard opening in this Terran vs Zerg. Belshir Vestige, obviously an interesting map, particularly a good map for Terran. The reason I say that is it's got lots of narrow choke points. Zerg players tend to hate these narrow choke points, wanting to get out into the open field and surround. It takes a lot more effort to do that on Belshir Vestige. Lots of these high ground, low ground ramp situations tend to make it very good for the Terran player. They tend to always have the high ground site because of their accompanying medevacs, and they don't suffer from a lot of the drawbacks that traditional makeups from the other races may face. So definitely a good map for Terran, but likewise lots of points that could be exploited by a Zerg player. Those same narrow ramps make for great baneling landmines. They also give lots of avenues to counterattack. There's almost 4 lanes of travel down the map, and it's also great for Mutalisk Harass. Large open main base makes it quite easily for Mutalisk to swing between bases and cut across the map. So lots of Mutalisk Harass potential on this map. Looks like Polt's getting things underway right away with this Reaper, going to be plucking away at these Zerglings, trying to diminish the Zergling count as best he can. This also keeps him safe from early counterattacks and harass from the Zerglings, so this tends to be why most Terran players like to go for the Reaper opening. It gives them a lot of flexibility, allows them to harass and to scout, and also allows them to pick down these early Zergling numbers and get map control that Terran players just aren't used to having this early in the map. Looks like Polt's going to be throwing down a reactor in his factory, so we'll probably see these two switch out and go for some Hellions, which seems to be very standard out of our Terran players when facing Zergs, to throw out 4 or 5 Hellions, generally 4 or 6 actually, and try and put on some pressure. If they do manage to get a run by, they do quite substantial damage. You can see Polt trying to pick away at these queens, but unfortunately getting a little bit sloppy, and one of the Reapers getting picked off. The last thing Polt wants is for this last Reaper to die. Its value is more in scouting than in direct damage, so if Polt can keep it alive, that will be substantially beneficial. Polt going to try and delay this third base, but unfortunately the Reaper's going to get surrounded and killed, which will allow the drone to drop the hatchery. So three fairly quick bases out of Hyun. Polt moving to secure his natural now. He's got 2 Hellions on the field and 2 more to come. So these Zerglings that are moving out could well meet a premature end. I love what Hyun's doing with these Overlords. You'll see he's established quite a substantial perimeter of Overlords, make it very hard for medevacs to try and slip unknowingly into his main base. So I really like the perimeter of Overlords, as well as these scouting Overlords that are already in position. So I think Hyun's making all the right moves, particularly early on in this game. and is already up to his 4 gas, so, or 4th gas going down now, so Hyun going to be in an excellent position. Macroed up quite hard. As long as he can prevent these Hellions from doing any substantial damage, he should be in an excellent position going into mid-game. It looks like Hyun's actually managed to get his Zerglings into the main base, and doing a little bit of harassment damage here at the natural, but a few Hellions able to clean most of those up. One last Zergling does manage to get a 3rd SCV kill, so 4 kills is a little bit sloppy on Polt's part, not clean that Zergling. You seldom see a Zergling with more than 1 kill, but looks like Polt was distracted because he's managing to get his own Hellions through into the main base of Hyun. Hyun actually able to clean that up with some Roaches and Queens, and managed to keep most of these drones alive in spite of the fact that most of them were 1 shot from being killed. So both players managing a little bit of harass there, and doing quite well to multitask both offensively and defensively. Polt continuing to rove around with these Hellions, trying to stay active and keep map control as best he can. This Viking is going to clean out the first Overlord and swoop back through here. You can tell Polt's well accustomed to where Zerg players like to hide their Overlords. These waypoints are going through most of the standard locations on all the high ground perches, and it's just going to complete this pattern and kill as many of these Overlords as possible. So this is going to deny a good deal of vision to Hyun, and he's not going to be aware of exactly what Polt's doing, which is to build 2 more factories and throw down an additional command center for his 3rd base. So while this is... we actually have a few Marauders up here, so we're going to actually have a Hellion Marauder push, and these have been a little bit popular recently, not something we were used to seeing early on in the Heart of the Swarm expansion, but a few players tend to be favouring this sort of awkward push versus Zerg, because any Zergling counterattacks die quite quickly to the Hellions, and if they don't have things like Roaches in play, the Marauders are able to do a substantial amount of damage to the buildings and give the punch that those Hellions don't actually have. You see these 3 Marauders, they don't have Marauder slow, so unfortunately that Queen will be able to get away, but as you can see, Polt can just pick up those Marauders and retreat quite easily. These Hellions providing plenty for Hyun to worry about. We see it's a very even game, 850 to 950 resources lost, so certainly neither of these players managing to get a substantial edge at the start of this game, but Polt continuing to be very cost effective, picking up another 2 Roaches there, instead it's giving him an edge, 1150 to 850, managing to keep all 3 of those Marauders alive and retreat out of there. So certainly nice little bits and pieces of micro from Polt to just get every sort of cost efficiency edge he can. He slips 3 Hellions into the main. Can they light up any of these workers? Well, unfortunately unable to get the angle that they want. Slipping up into the main base now. Can he make it through? Oh, one drone will go down. Another volley there. Drone's lowering health. Second drone does go down. Unfortunately, Hyun able to block quite effectively with the Roaches and Queens and stop those Hellions from getting too effective an angle in the engagement. Looks like both our players be content to macro up just a little bit. Actually looks like Polt's taking siege tanks, which hasn't been as common in previous CVT matchups. There was certainly a lot of Widow Mine, Marine Marauder play going on, but it looks like Polt is going to elect to use siege tanks for his defense. Obviously saw quite a substantial number of Roaches from Hyun, and using the siege tanks to help counter those. It'd be interesting to see if Polt's trying to integrate tanks more heavily into his force. Certainly we haven't seen Terran players quite swing back to their reliance on siege tanks that they had back in Wings of Liberty and before the HOTS expansion was out. The Widow Mine did provide them a different option. Looks like Polt's continuing to try and mop up Overlords. One last Overlord kill for that Viking before it goes down, and trying to position himself to pressure this 3rd base, but unfortunately for Polt just doesn't have the units he needs to be able to put the pressure on. It's 120 supply each, but we'll notice that 42 more Zerglings were on the way, as well as upgrades like centrifugal hooks and Zergling speed, so it looks like Hyun will have more than the forces he needs to try and protect against this early pressure. Polt, however, has his 3rd base up and operational now, nice and walled off there, so it will be protected against most standard forms of counterattack. Zergling counterattack will run over that Widow Mine and be slowed down substantially, but it looks like Polt's main intention here is just to keep Hyun in his base and on the back foot for as long as possible. and he's been doing fairly admirably. There's been almost no Zerg units on his half of the map for most of the game thus far, so Hyun very content to macro, and Polt macroing up similarly. 2 upgrades on the way, a little bit behind Hyun's, but not that much to speak of. A few missile turrets going down now. Polt's aware as he swept through with that Viking that the Spire was indeed on the field. Upgrades on the way, so we have 8 Mutalisks out, and no more than 8 it looks like at the moment, but these could serve a vital role, as you'll see from Polt's defences. The siege tank's not actually very protected against anti-air. This tank certainly easily picked off, as is this tank at the front. So 1 missile turret to defend 4 tanks. There are of course some marines in play, but Mutalisks substantially faster than those. A few missile turrets will protect the production of Polt though, and I like that choice. A lot of players refuse to throw down the static defense and leave their main base consistently opposed to fast moving units. I really like Polt's choice to sacrifice a few hundred minerals and just protect his production against those Mutalisks. Mutalisks picking off add-ons like the reactors just makes for really difficult late game play against Zerg. So nice choice out of Polt. We have Polt here trying to prevent the 4th base from going down, but Hyun will clean out a substantially large Zerg force swarming around the map. We can just see the sea of Zerglings and Banelings streaking around the map. Terran force moving out like a sledgehammer. All the siege tanks likewise in the middle of the map and unsieged. So Polt is going to have to make a decision here. Can he get back and defend, or is he in fact committing to a base race? A base race that won't necessarily favour him given how slow the siege tanks are to siege and unsiege. Looks like the Zerg are going to put pressure on. They're actually opening this door for a counterattack, dropping a few changelings here to keep an eye on what's going on. Looks like those 2 will in fact burn down. Polt electing to establish his base here on the high ground. The Zerglings and Banelings swooping in here. Tanks are going to take a lot of damage, a lot of effective shots from these siege tanks. 12 kills on one of them before it too is wiped out. A fairly even engagement for both these players, but the Mutalisks are sweeping through these medevacs. Medevacs taking a lot of damage. Widow mines aren't underground. This could be devastating for Polt as Hyun continues to push in, but a massive surge of Marines and Marauders able to push the remainder of the Zerg force out, and it's actually looking very even here. Players levelling out at 160 supply each. Polt perhaps overstimming these Marines and Marauders in an attempt to catch some of these roaches. Surprised that we haven't seen the concussive missiles come down. In fact, they are on the way now. There's quite a few times where those concussive shells would have netted Polt a few more kills, certainly enough to merit the 50-50 investment, but earlier in the game obviously more focused on crucial upgrades like the stim pack and the combat shield. We do have Hyun coming for a Baneling bust on the 3rd base, but these supply depots have been re-established. Looks like he wants to take them out again with the Mutalisks. Polt hurrying to get in position here. Got some Marines and Marauders, but the Zerglings are already down in his mineral lines. Going to have to commit a lot of bio here to try and stop it. Looks like we're also seeing some harassment up at the 4th base, but a nice split from Polt will have the Marines and Marauders there that he needs to deal with that. So nice multitasking from both our players here. Both of them coming head to head with some difficult decisions, but continually making good decisions in their choice of unit splitting. As you can see, Hyun likewise throwing down a wall of static defense at his very vulnerable 4th base. As you can see, it's very close to Polt's 4th, so it is in a position that Polt can easily counterattack it. Hyun has identified that and establishing a lot of spine crawlers to be able to defend that. There's a big force of Zerglings and Banelings moving out here. Unfortunately, Polt's Marines and Marauders are on the wrong side. They're going to be able to sweep down into this 3rd base. Mutalisks taking a lot of damage from these missile turrets, and Marines and Marauders trying to make their way down, but there's some Baneling landmines. A big scan from Polt, doesn't take the bait, doesn't run onto them. Nice choice from Polt. Those 3 Banelings could have substantially destroyed this force. There are a few more burrowed Zerglings. I think Polt knows what's up. Oh no, maybe not. He has the resources to scan, but hasn't scanned again. So these Zerglings will remain to fight another day. Big counterattack on Polt's planetary fortress, but the fortress able to hold steady. A few SCVs to repair that would be nice. The Zerglings are now unburrowed, actually doing massive damage to the SCVs that were trying to make their way away from it. Looks like Hyun's got Polt running around in circles, which certainly isn't something that we can say regularly. Few Marines left trying to defend the new 3rd base, well 4th base, but third mining base as these Mulists continue to lap around the backside and do as much damage as possible. They've slipped into Polt's production. Now we can see them picking off these add-ons. Going to make life very difficult for Polt as his production's cut in pieces. Likewise, a supply block from all those depots that were destroyed in the wall. And it looks like Hyun's nice Widow Mine there is actually going to do a lot of damage to the Mulus. Second one here, yep, another detonation takes out more Mulus and does leave the remainder on fairly low health, which will buy Polt some time he needs to rebuild his base. Looks like both our players trading blows quite keenly. Polt unable or unwilling to re-establish his supply depot wall, having seen it go down several times now. You probably realise just how vulnerable it is to those Mutalisks. Polt fighting to re-establish his third base, or his planetary fortress here now potentially exposed to a counterattack from this Zerg force. Both players holding even at about 170 supply. This Mutalisk cloud starting to get just a little bit terrifying. We have, well, if I can actually land on the Mutalisk, we've got 8, 16, 21 Mutalisks swarming around in the skies, and that's allowing Hyun to do the damage he needs to keep the Terran player in his base. Terran players, once they get to 3 mining base, are able to apply a heap of aggression. You'll see Hyun's been so busy his 5th base still isn't mining, but not to worry, he has been doing substantial damage, and yet again these Zerglings going to make it down into the 3rd base of Polt. Though unfortunately he is going to be pinned in here. Lots of Widow Mines in here are going to make it impossible for these Mutalisks to try and engage this head-to-head. But the Zerglings and Banelings instead choosing to lap around and take out the static defense, the siege tank and the missile turret that were there. A few Zerglings going to burrow and make life difficult for Hyun. Make it difficult for Polt. Polt may or may not establish. Oh, looks like he is going to try and re-establish this 3rd base, but his now paying the prices his 4th base as his less mobile army is caught out of position. Polt instead electing to go for the base race now, knows that he can't put on the pressure he needs to put on, and instead of defending his base, he has to move out and try and put on as much pressure as he can for Hyun. Hyun obviously still mining on 2 bases, though one of those bases almost mined out, and I think we'll see Polt elect to go for a counter-attack here, which I believe is his most viable option. This Zerg army too mobile for him to deal with. These Mutalisks actually engaging 3-3 Marauders, never a great idea, so Polt able to get the upper edge in that engagement, doing quite a substantial amount of damage. The back end of his army insulated by those Widow Mines. Finally cleans out this 3rd base so he can get his base down on the ground. It's a base he sorely needs. His main and natural almost mined out. You see his income has dried to almost a crawl here, 460. Hyun's income 3 times what Polt's is. Certainly not a position we're used to seeing our back-to-back WCS champion in, but it's been fantastic play from Hyun to put him in this location. We have +3 air upgrades on the way, as well as Zerg melee level 3, and it looks like Polt is in fact going to engage here and go for the base race. Hyun able to muscle his way into the production of Polt, picking off these reactors quite quickly, and we have add-ons going down left, right and centre, which means that Polt is not going to be able to produce enough reinforcements here to stem the tide. A few Widow Mines could make the difference and make life hard for these Mutalisks to engage. Looks like Polt's going to be able to force them out, but barely. Polt's a lot of Widow Mines in this force is going to make it very difficult for Hyun to counter-attack here. These Mutalisks are able to pick off this force and this orbital command that Polt's been trying to establish. However, Hyun's only mining base here is going down quite rapidly. This Widow Mine, 13 kills on one, 5 on another and 3 on another. These Widow Mines just being massively cost effective for Polt, and if you see units lost, Polt is actually leading that by 7,000 resources. So in spite of the fact that he's been down on mining bases perpetually, Polt, excellent game sense being allowing him to trade very cost effectively in these engagements. Hyun is deciding to continue to base race with these mules, picking off all the income. It looks like we actually can see that Polt's income's dried to literally nothing, but in exactly the same vein we have Hyun dropping to almost 600 minerals left to mine and still no 4th base in play. So Polt managing to pick those off and even up the supplies. Polt actually had a supply advantage, which is the first time we've been able to say that in the past 10 or 15 minutes, but Polt able to consistently get cost-effective engagements, and if he can prevent this fourth base from going up, he may well seal out this game. These Mutalisks unable to engage against the 3-3 Marines with Widow Mine backup, and things like these medevacs just continuing to make Polt very cost effective. So Polt desperately trying to get his third base up. Big group of Marines here is going to make that much easier. Polt actually has choked off the fourth base of Hyun. Hyun unable to establish that hatchery that he so badly needed. Hyun actually doesn't have enough resources to throw down another hatchery, so Hyun is actually reduced to long distance mining. If Polt can get and keep this base, it does look like Hyun will have everything he needs, but Polt has split this force. He's split his force very very finely between these two groups. If he's overcommitted in either location, he could find himself being picked off by the more mobile Zerg army. Starting to get some mineral income for the first time in the last few minutes. Polt's able to produce a few more Widow Mines, knows that Widow Mines are going to be very effective against this Zerg force. His Widow Mines have previously been very good to him. 13 kill Widow Mines certainly aren't the norm, particularly in a post-patch environment. Polt swinging through this second group of reinforcements knows just how crucial it is to try and hold this third base. It is the only mining base on the map at the moment. Those last banelings getting picked off there. As you can see, the concussive missiles are very useful at picking off the retreating units. Polt waiting for this creep to recede, and it looks like Polt is actually going to engage here and go and force Hyun to cancel his fourth base. So Hyun without a base yet again. Polt finally landing his base. If we look in the unit counting station, it is 40 harvesters to 4. Hyun very few left on the map, but luckily for Terran he does have mules. He's going to get some mineral income. So the longer Polt can keep this game in this stalled out phase, the better it will be for him. Hyun very struggling to mine here with these long distance mines. Widow Mine up to 5 kills, going to pluck off this unlucky Zergling. This poor Zergling's actually been elected for the firing squad, and we'll see it die momentarily. And there it goes, the Overseer arriving just in time to watch the poor Zergling die a horrible death at the hands of a Seeker missile. So looks like Hyun will finally pick this off, and Polt will try and establish this forward line, but looking very thinly spread to not attempting to over exaggerate, but certainly Polt's forces spread very thinly here. This very mobile Zerg force trying to pick apart any advantage it can get. These Widow Mines certainly going to be very useful for Polt. Hyun has to be so careful about how he engages here. Nice sweeping. It has picked off a few of the SCVs, which is so important here. But Polt would really love to pick off these Overlords. If he could kill these Overlords, then the Widow Mines would be left to wreak havoc on Hyun's forces. But unfortunately, the Overlord's very quick. Still got all 3 of them in play, trying to pick off as many of these, as many of the Overseers and Mutalisks as possible. Has them pinned between both his bases, but we'll be able to loop back around the edge of the map. Well, Hyun unfortunately seems to be sandwiched here. He'll take some damage trying to get out either way, but Hyun using the opportunity to try and long distance mine as much as possible, knowing that his drones are safe, as most of the Terran forces are actually pinned up in this corner. But as you can see, we do have 8 Marines and 2 SCVs in production at a time, and that's a status of affairs that's just going to allow Polt to really recover the momentum that he'd lost in this late stage of the game. So Hyun unfortunately not wanting to lose anything here. Mutalisks hovering back and forth. Does have some Zerglings and Banelings. He's going to slip these through and does take the Widow Mine hit. Those Banelings could swing into this expansion and cause devastating damage. Yep, looks like Polt's expertly using those Mutalisks and Zerglings to detonate all of the Widow Mines, but unfortunately wasn't able to get the Banelings into the worker line, which is what he so badly wanted to do. These Mutalisks still trying to get some sort of advantage here, but Polt's Marines just continuing to eat through them. And it looks like Hyun's going to tap out as Polt goes for the death blow. So what a game between both these players. Almost 34 minutes of Zerg Zerg vs Terran goodness, and both these players just put on an excellent show for us, multitasking, attacking and defending simultaneously in multiple locations, just showing us what both these players are made of. So it was a fantastic game. Polt will of course progress. Hyun unfortunately gonna take that defeat, and Polt will continue to move on and progress in the tournament. So hope you guys have enjoyed it. We've got one more game to cast, then we're going to cast the grand finals and upload those games progressively over the next couple of days. Hope you guys have been enjoying the content. We've been doing our best to bring you some of the best games around and keep them nice and consistent and uploaded regularly. So I hope you guys are enjoying them. We've had a lot of new subscribers recently, and we're grateful for all those. Hope you're enjoying Aussie Starcraft. We'd love to see a few more. I have a goal to get 3 more before the end of December to meet our goal for 2013. So by all means, get your friends involved in the Starcraft love. Show them that we're casting some great games here on Aussie Starcraft. So go ahead, share them on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, whatever social media site you love. Go ahead and share the videos, and let's boost the esports scene here in Southeast Asia. Thanks guys. We will catch you all in the next cast.